أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This recorded lesson will be about Islamiyat question and answer models to make you be prepared for SA1 this week. Okay, let's start by reciting the dua together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. اللهم افتح لنا حكمتك وانشر علينا من خزائن رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم نور قلبي بنور هدايتك كما نورت الأرض بنور شمسك أبدا أبدا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. رب زدني علما وارزقني فهما وعملا صالحا متقبلا. آمين آمين يا مجيب السائلين. The special learning objective for this recorded lesson is that you are able to recognize this familiar question of IGCSE Islamiyah, and the second one is that you are supposed to be able to identify the proper answer. Okay, for your information, that the SA material 70% will be taken from number one Quranic passage. There are two verses. Number one, Al-Baqarah 255 or Ayat al-Kursi, and the second passage is Al-An'am 101 to 103. That is of course 25%, and the second one is the Rightly Guided Caliphs. It is only taken from the Caliphate of Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhu, 20%, 25%. And the third one is the teaching and the action of Hadith. We have learned Hadith 11 and 12. While 25% other material will be taken from the fall of Makkah, the right of Allah and man, and also the significance of Hadith in thought and action in Islam. But in this video, I will only give you the example. Number one, Quranic passage question. There will be always two questions, A and B. A, briefly describe the main theme or themes in each passage, and B, briefly explain the importance of these themes in a Muslim life today. We try to elaborate Surah Al-Baqarah ayah 255, sorry, not 25 but 255. Okay, Ayat al-Kursi. The theme of the passage, the theme is the theme of this long verse. This is very long. Is God Himself. It is a verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. It is a Madani Surah. It begins with the expression of the Shahada. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. Declaration of oneness of God. And then elaborates various aspects of unity of God that make Him matchless. God is free from all weaknesses and limitation, has perfect knowledge of all times, is not dependent on anyone for his survival, enjoys autonomy in exercising his authority. His authority and his rule encompass the entire universe. This makes God not only unique, but also elevate him to the height we just cannot imagine, and that is mentioned in the Quran as then he established himself on the throne. Surah 10 ayah 3 and Surah 13 ayah 2. The importance of the theme of Surah Al-Baqarah 255, that this passage tells Muslims to believe in Tawheed in terms of God's uniqueness, majesty, and glory. The theme is important for Muslims as it crystallizes the belief of Tawheed and trains them to condemn shirk. There is a repetitive mention of God's authority, unlimited knowledge and powers in order to strengthen knowledge and power in order to strengthen the faith of its readers. For example, it says, He is exalted in power, wise, He created the heaven without any pillars. Surah Luqman ayah 9 to 10. And but God is the one free of all wants. Fatir ayah 35 to Surah 35 verse 15. The objective is to remind Muslim that God alone is to be worshipped and no authority can be compared with him. Many Muslims recite this verse regularly to reiterate God's power and high position as compared to any worldly authority. Now we continue to Surah Al-An'am, the second passage, ayah 101 to 103. The theme of the surah is this passage is God in Himself. It elaborates some of the fundamental aspects of the unity of God, or it is Tawheed. It describes God as the originator of the universe and rejects any kind of misconception of God having any family. It also refers to His unbounded knowledge, power, and grasp on His created world. The passage further stresses on the sublime nature of God and inability of human imagination to encompass God's person, though He Himself can see to the unfathomable depth, as endorsed elsewhere in the Quran. For God is He who understands He the finest mysteries. Surah 22, ayah 63. What about the importance of this surah? So the importance of the theme of the surah is this passage is important for Muslim to clearly understand the doctrine of Tawheed in terms of God's nature and powers. Muslims need to learn that though God is too sublime to be perceived, He is everywhere and all powerful. The Quran reminds Muslims this repeatedly, and He is with you wherever you are. Ayah 4 from Surah 57 or Hadith. In the other Surah, for we are nearer to him or man than his jugular vein. Surah Qaf, ayat 16. The passage also categorically negates the false belief of God having any wife or children, and thus it strikes at the roots of shirk or associating partners with God. Muslims, in this way, develop a clearer concept of Tawheed and feel themselves bound to adore God only. They remember that sin is the only unpardonable sin in the sight of God. Now we continue to the question and answer model of the Rightly Guided Caliph from the Caliphate of Usman question. The question will be about, for example, write an account of the main activities of Hazrat Usman. The main activities of Hazrat Usman. There are two kinds of this question. A, during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the second during his caliphate. Let's elaborate the answer. Number one or A is the first one during the lifetime of the Prophet. Number one, he was one of the first converts. As-Sabiqun al-Awwalun, you remember. Number two, he experienced persecution for his faith. And then he married the Prophet's daughter, Ruqayyah, the first daughter. And then, with her migrated to Abyssinia with Ruqayyah, he migrated to Medina. He did not take part in the Battle of Badr because his wife was sick. Which one? Ruqayyah. When Ruqayyah died, Rasulullah then Sallallahu gave her other daughter or Ruqayyah's sister, it is Kulthum, as wife. And then he acted as the Prophet's ambassador to Quraysh when the Muslim near Makkah. And the last, he contributed his wealth to pay the expedition, particularly Tabuk. B. During this caliphate, he continued the policy of expanding Muslim territory. It's better if you mentioned the parts of the territory, especially the northern parts of Africa. And then the empire expanded into Persia, Armenia, and North Africa until Morocco. He placed relative important position of control. He requested an authentic version of the Quran, and then he ordered Zayd ibn Haris to lead the compilation of this, and then he destroyed all other copies of Quran. His rule caused disquiet and led to several uprisings. Okay. And then the model answer answers model and question of hadith. A, always the teaching. So describe their teaching about what Muslim believe. And the second question will be about the action. The question will be explain how Muslim can put this teaching into action. Okay, let's start to elaborate Hadith 11. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I and a man who bring up the orphan will be in paradise like this. He pointed to with his two fingers, the index fingers and the middle finger. The teaching. Islam instructs the followers to be caring and considerate toward the unsupported and the needy. It promises great reward for such noble attitude that is earning the pleasure of God and closeness to His Messenger. It also associates such nobility with love for God. And they feed for the love of God the indigent, the orphan, and the captive. Al-Insan, ayah 8. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Care and support of the orphan is greatly admired by the Quran and Sunnah, as both promise huge rewards for those who are kind toward the orphan. And last, this hadith guarantees such people closeness to the Prophet in paradise. For any believer, this is no less than a fabulous reward in the hereafter. The action of the hadith is number one, the Prophet himself being an orphan, remember, always took special care of the orphan, the needy. Number two, he was reminded in Surah Al-Duha, did he not find you an orphan and gave you shelter? Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa. He therefore showed special love on the orphan. Muslims should imitate his example in whatever possible ways. They should donate generously for the orphanage, for example, run and maintained by various charity and organizations. They should also adopt orphan children in the light of the admiration expressed by the Prophet. The best Muslim house is that in which an orphan is well treated. And the last, such a noble task strengthen the communal bond among the members of the Muslim community. Now we step to Hadith number 12. The Messenger of Allah, may Allah bless him and give him peace, sent Abu Musa and Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen. He sent each of them to govern apart. Then he, Rasulullah SAW, said, be gentle and do not be hard, and cause rejoicing and do not alienate. The teaching of this hadith. This hadith highlights the importance of the responsibilities of a Muslim ruler or leader. Being the leader of the Muslim community is a huge responsibility and a great trust of God with the ruler. For example, in this country, the biggest Muslim country in the world, so the president is the leader of the Muslim community as well. So a Muslim ruler or leader is required to consider himself the custodian, wali, of his people, responsible for their prosperity and welfare. Number 4, leader of the community is indeed its servant, as mentioned in the hadith. Your best rulers are those whom you love and they love you. It's also mentioned in Hadith. Such an attitude is based on a strong sense of accountability before the people as well as the Supreme Lord. True Muslim rulers try their best to win the hearts of their people by kindness and being very close to them, avoiding any degree of harshness. The action of the hadith could be the Prophet ﷺ and his four successors, Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman, and Ali radiallahu anhu, set glorious tradition about how to act as rulers. Number two, they devoted their energies for the general welfare and collective prosperity of their people. Number three, Muslim rulers need to follow these models, rulers who rule not only the state but also the heart of their subjects. Number four, they these Muslim rulers should remove all barriers that separates them from their people and should treat them in a kind and fatherly way so that people do not fear but respect them with sincerity. Caliph Ali remarked, the state might survive their paganism but might not survive with injustice. The last, the Muslim ruler should ensure justice and follow the instruction of the Prophet. Make things easy and don't make them hard. And cheer up people and don't repel them. Allah knows best. Thank you very much for your pay attention. Of course, this question and answer model is not only the material of SA, but of course you have to study the other material. Thank you very much for your attention. See you in SA 1 2020. Baarakallahu fiikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.